You're camping. What would be more seductive than to say, "Oh, you ravishing beauty, come and join me in my fart sack"?
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy. Join us as we talk about The Evil Dead in today's main event. Cult classic, iconic horror flick from Sam Raimi, starring Bruce Campbell, produced by Rob Tapert, all the things. In today's main event, as we start our Evil Dead marathon on the route to Evil Dead Rise. We are the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hello, everybody. Join us.
Join us. Join the Evil Dead. Join the Evil Dead.
Well, there is an Evil Dead musical. I was going to joke about it, but
I think we already spoke about it on the podcast.
We both
saw it in Vegas.
We both saw it in Vegas the way it was meant to be seen. Yeah.
And so we're getting back into the horror game. And after a pugilistic marathon through the Rocky Creed movies leading up to Creed 3, which we hope to have for you soon. As we record this, the movie hasn't opened yet. We're recording this Wednesday night. It's on the precipice of it opening tomorrow night. And I don't know, it's getting good reviews.
Well, I've seen it, but
it's getting good reviews from people who, but not from Eric, because I don't want to know what he thinks right now.
I'm not going to say anything. But yeah, we're going to try to do a bonus episode for Creed 3 in the not too distant future.
Just like Mystery Science Theater. Yes, once I see the movie, and once I see the movie like a regular plebe, like a poor who doesn't get to go see it 2 weeks ahead of time, and then did you get to talk to people?
I didn't do the junket for that. I mean, I went to the premiere. Did we talk to anyone from the movie at the premiere? No, I mean, we saw them. We saw, we saw a lot of like fun encounters. We saw Ryan Coogler talking to Serena Williams. We saw the giant cluster of people gathered to like take pictures and try to get pictures with Serena Williams and Jonathan Majors talking to each other. We saw Jonathan Majors and Shachi Gomez, who played America Chavez, take a picture together. One of them can travel through the multiverse with her powers. One has a ship to go through the multiverse. So we watched a lot of fun encounters happen along the way.
One can hit tennis balls through the multiverse.
That's right.
That's the best case scenario, which is like you get to go to the event but don't have to do the after work or the during work. That's always good.
Yeah, because this is actually a sort of insane. So this is a crazy month in general. Like March is going to be a big month for movies. It's like pre-pandemic where every weekend is a big franchise movie. And there's like a sequel every weekend or trying to launch a new D&D franchise and all these things happening.
I am more excited about that Dungeons and Dragons movie than I think I am about most movies coming out this year. And not just because it's Dungeons and Dragons. I just think the trailers are really fucking funny. And I like the people behind it. I like the people in it. And I'm just excited all around. So
I just remember that she pronounced her name Xochitl Gomez. I know if you were dying to know, I mispronounced it. It looks fun to me. I'm not quite as hyped as you, but that's okay. I'm gonna go see it.
Is it though? I don't think it's okay.
But I was gonna say on my end, it's like a crazy busy month in general because of all those releases, but also this week is a crazy week. Junket wise, I've already done two big ones. I did Shazam and I did the Mandalorian junket the same day. I didn't do the Creed junket, but it was happening. And then I'm doing John Wick and Scream this week. It's just like all these things in 1 week, and some of them are coming out right now, but some are coming down the line. But someone pointed out, a publicist pointed out to me why it's happening. All the junkets are happening, which is to get out of the way of the Oscars next week. And like they don't want to have
the
to
Oscars
think about.
That'll probably have the lowest ratings ever. Well, yes. I don't know. Maybe people will tune in to hope someone hits someone else, in the face.
Yeah. But anyway, it's like next week. It's all hands on deck for Oscars, like the lead up. And I was like, that's why they're junketing stuff that's coming out like 2-3 weeks. Yeah,
maybe this year's Oscars will get that slap bump.
Bump.
Man, yeah, you did do a couple big ones. I wish I could do a big one. I wish a big one could do me. So this is also a big junket month for both Jonathan Majors and Pedro Pascal, as their projects overlap. I don't think they stopped.
We were talking about it with Jonathan Majors literally because we the way it worked, the premiere for Creed 3 was at the Chinese, but the after party was in the parking lot behind the El Capitan. It was very tented and heated because we've been pouring rain and cold weather.
I heard it was snowing in Burbank today.
It's been snowing in Los Angeles. I haven't seen it myself, and that pisses me off. But the mountains.
I was going to say there are mountains in the background of Burbank.
And it's
I know because
it's like
a cat that we briefly took in for a friend who moved away that didn't last very long because it was an outdoor cat vanished from our house one day when we lived in Lake Balboa. And the next day we got a call because it did have a name tag. And it was in the hills of Burbank, Eric. So that's quite. I don't know what Disney movie ensued to that cat George from our house.
That is a journey. But yeah, because the junket, I'm sorry, the premiere and the after across the street from each other, and you had to like cross the street, and they had it all tunneled off to do that. But you walked by the El Capitan that was playing Quantumania, so it was just like Jonathan Majors. He's so hot right now. Yes.
And Pedro Pascal. I think people started jokingly pointing out like his expression on red carpets is becoming more and more dour as he's more and more exhausted doing these things.
I just want to sleep.
I just want to eat. So he's the new Universal Soldier, but he just wants to take naps.
Hey, I bet we could get a green light on Pedro Pascal is Universal Soldier.
We can get a green light for Pedro Pascal in anything.
That's true. That's
new
true.
Or old property. Like obviously old IPs are the best because that's all that seem to get made. But I want Pedro Pascal and Jonathan Majors in a reboot of the 80s cop film Running Scared. There we go. And Billy Crystal can be the angry police chief role at this point. What's the name of that actor? I can't say his name. Dan Hedaya, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't he on Cheers?
Cheers and Clueless.
Okay, Dan Hedaya. Okay, yeah, he was the very funny, angry police chief in Running Scared.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get into some dork news, some nerdling items here. Whew. Oof, Eric. Oof with the big drop for Ant-Man.
Yeah.
It's not a bad movie. What's happening? What the fuck is happening?
I mean,
I guess the MCU is over. I heard Kevin Feige canceled it immediately after this.
He did. I mean, look, it's all perspective because, Quantumania is the biggest right now release, money-wise of 2023. And I bet it's going to stay that way till Super Mario Brothers. Because even though March has some big movies, they don't have ones that I think they're going to open at like MCU level big. But there were there was a couple concerning things with Quantumania. One was that B cinema score, because for an MCU movie, a cinema score, people tend to like rank up, I'm just like, we're having fun. We're going to see a movie here. And, until phase 4,
they're like, I had popcorn, A. Yeah.
Yes. Until phase 4, no MCU movie had gotten, I think, below an A- except for the first Thor, which is interesting. But now they've had several, but Eternals and Quantumania are specifically the only two to get a B, the lowest that any MCU movies have gotten. So one, it was the fact that it got like cinema scored, and I hold cinema score a lot more than I do IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes, because those are people who are very online trying to skew things, and you get people that are either giving things a 1 because a gay character is on Last of Us, or giving it a 10 because Zack Snyder made it and it's an instant 10. So you get a lot of like people who go out of their way, but cinema score is just grabbing people as they walk out of the theater. So there's a little more, even if I don't agree with it. Like I really dug Eternals, so I think it's like the fact that it was like the lowest reviews and cinema score to me was like, what? But yeah, Quantumania did get that, and then the drop, the biggest drop percentage-wise that any MC movie has had.
Well, and it's funny that the other biggest drops are Phase 4 movies, right? So it's
they're all Phase 4.
So 69% drop from Ant-Man, even though it's still number 1 over the weekend. But a lot of that money got taken over by Cocaine Bear, the bear who did cocaine. And Love and Thunder was at 67% drop. Love and Thunder, though, still is going to go on to make a shit ton more than Quantumania overall. And Black Widow, 67.8%. Eternals was a 62% drop. So they're all pretty big. But is Ant-Man going to even make $450 million, Eric? And it opened in China, too.
Yeah, it's funny because after its first weekend, I thought it's gonna make what the last one made, but barely. But now I'm like, I don't think it's gonna make what the last one made, and that's yeah. Because Love and Thunder, no matter what you think about it, it ultimately made what Ragnarok made, with the exception of it didn't open in Russia and China, and you could see that dip.
Yeah.
But everything, it was still pretty much like, place to place made what Ragnarok made, no matter what people said about it. This is gonna, I think, discernibly drop from the last Ant-Man movie. And given the positioning of this movie as a much more important, bigger movie, yeah, it makes it, it's a bigger deal than it would have been if going into
it's funny because people complain about two things. One is that there's too much.
People only complain about two things, Matt?
Two things in this world, not healthcare, not the war in Ukraine, not like only these two things. One is that there's too much Phase 4 MCU content once the streaming show started, and there's too much to say. But like, sort of almost counterpoint to that, they're like, we want an Avenger. I don't know. It's a one thing where it's like, by the time we finished the first phase of the MCU, we got an Avengers movie.
Right.
So even though everything culminated into Infinity War and Endgame, there were still the phases themselves, 1 and 2, still culminated in Avengers movies. Maybe it didn't end with an Avenger movie, but like it's still like everything. There was an Avengers movies for each phase.
Yeah, and you had Civil War as a like bonus Avengers movie along the way.
Right. Yeah. It was Captain America in title, but really it just had almost everyone. So we haven't gotten that team up. No. Right, we get Yelena on Hawkeye. We've gotten a few things here and there, but
fun little team ups. But
nothing's brought these people together, and the Marvels isn't going to count either, because you'll have to have seen 2 TV shows to understand.
Yes,
that one, because it's TV characters coming into Carol's world. So I think Guardians will do well because it's Guardians on its own, and I think it's sort of out there that this is the final hurrah for them, and like it can draw in. But I don't know. Who knows? I think the lack of. I'm not someone that needs a big bad and a big through line, but I do think keeping these characters away from each other is hurting the overall saga. So anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think, again, I know we're repeating ourselves on some of this stuff, guys, but it's like the fact that it's like, I don't need that, but I understand the public is sort of, the people who didn't grow up with comics have been sort of trained on it a little bit, like, okay, where's our big thing now? Where's it? And because there's like more content than ever.
Well, so that's the thing.
Glaring,
it's more glaring because if you look at time-wise, Phase 4 only lasted 2 years. So, okay, it's been 2 years when you haven't gotten a team-up movie. That's fine. But when you consider everything that happened in those
there's
2 years...
way more... the first Avengers movie was the 6 of 6 movies, and that's it. Yeah. Versus, like, now we've seen, many movies, and the TV shows add so many more hours of content. So, it's funny because it's like, next year we do have Thunderbolts, which I understand is not, like, A-list heroes, but it'll be like the biggest gathering of a bunch of characters from different things. I think we'll start to sort of see that more and more. But and again, it's like,
I mean, and before that we'll have the Captain America movie, which we would assume will also have a bunch of people in it. So
I think I mentioned him before, but Dan Murrell, who I used to work with at Fandom before he left, he does really good box office analysis. He's like very into. His like thing is like analyzing numbers and charting stuff. And he was talking about Quantumania, and he was looking at like the fact that the biggest drops in the MCU's history are all from Phase 4 and now Phase 5. It was interesting to see. The big exception was Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi had a really good drop, and it was like top third.
It just wound up earning less overall because of the panini.
Exactly. I mean, all the movies that came out that year had still, except for, I understand that No Way Home was the exception to prove the rule, but the other ones were all like, we were really still.
Well, Christopher Nolan wished he'd been the one who welcomed us back to cinema, but it was actually Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield,
right?
Tom Holland.
He's like, I could have put 3 Spider-Man in my movie.
he's like Tenet plus Spider-Man
plus all the Spider-Man. But so again, it's like it's natural progression. But it doesn't help that we also hit the like oversaturation meets lack of an event movie at the same time, so they're still, it's all relative because they're still going to have big hits that are still going to pop up. It's just they're not going to be like the dominant, like, force
the way it was
are.
in 2018 and 2019. Yeah,
those couple of years where it's just like, oh yeah, like get out of their way. And it's like, there's ebbs and flows to everything, such as the days of our lives and the days of our
they
lives.
say time is the fire in which we burn.
They do say that.
Speaking of burning in the fires of Mount Doom, Warner Brothers Discovery, during an earnings call, revealed that they have the go-ahead, thanks to a new deal between them, New Line, and Embracer Group. Embracer Group, who also bought Gearbox Software, makes the Borderlands games, which Gearbox is just down the street from me here in Frisco, Texas. They can make new Lord of the Rings movies. Basically,
and they will
make more adaptations of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. So not just like side content, which they could do if they wanted to, but literally reboot these movies, the two Peter Jackson trilogies.
But I don't think they will.
It's one of those things where a lot of people also bring up at the same time what this means for Amazon's prequel series. I don't think it really means much because that's its own thing, and unless they decide to make a movie about that specific time in Middle Earth, that it's like we're also making a movie about how the rings were formed.
Yeah. And I'm sure they wouldn't, because again, yes, they could just let's remake the books.
They'd hurt themselves. Everyone gets hurt.
And I think they know it's like they want to continue the story in some way, whether it's sidequels or straight up sequels, something. I don't know if you saw, it was interesting that like Peter Jackson and his camp put out a statement just that say that, like, because nothing was announced as far as officially them being involved, but they basically said that they've been kept in the loop every step of the way and they're excited what's going to happen, which means that they are talking. So
what they need to do is something like Hobbits Take Manhattan.
Yes. Hobbits Take versus Kong. But yeah, it's so I think once again we'll see. It's funny because we'll see. I'm assuming Peter Jackson will probably end up producing this sucker. Of course, he wasn't supposed to direct the Hobbit movies, supposed to produce those, and then everything changed when Guillermo del Toro left. So who knows? The Hobbit movies being like a strange case of like movies that were like making $1 billion, but like, didn't really have a huge impact in and of themselves. But that happens. So yeah, it's again, I know I say this as like, way into Lord of the Rings, but yeah, it's a giant franchise, obviously. And I would be shocked if they were like, yeah, we're gonna just remake it and recast all those roles. I think they'll do everything they can to keep those as canon and build off them, kind of like the Star Wars trilogy is,
Hobbits in space, the Great Hobbit Caper.
They're gonna be transported to modern day, and
Hobbits 11, and like
it'll be like the Masters of the Universe movie from the 80s
that everyone loved because it contained none of the characters from the TV show,
none of the characters,
and none of the world, and not even the home world,
right?
None of the premise, nothing. They just Sam and Frodo walking down into Times Square in 1983 for some reason, and he's like potatoes, and then some hookers like more like ho-tatoes, and then that's how they trail.
They go to a McDonald's for third breakfast.
It's like, I only thought there were 2 breakfasts, but you can have breakfast all day here.
Hey Sam, I'm loving it.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Rings of Power. All right. So it still tickles me that Brian Cox does the McDonald's commercials.
He does the what?
Brian Cox does the McDonald's commercials, and he sings the ba-da-ba-ba-ba part.
What? I have not seen.
Have you not heard Brian Cox do voiceover for McDonald's?
If I did, I wasn't aware. I don't know.
Oh my God. Then you
does he do it as William Stryker?
I think you can take it as it being any of his characters.
Was it his character from Trick or Treat? Because I'm in, if so.
What's his character's name? The neighbor? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, things turn out bad for him.
I should know this because I fucking love that movie, but I don't remember. I'm gonna look it up.
Mr. Something. The neighbor.
The neighbor. No, his character name is Mr. Krieg.
Mr. Krieg.
Mr. Krieg. Good old Mr. Krieg.
Well, it can
Get
be Mr.
that
Krieg
dog off my property.
Or it
he
can
talks
be Logan,
like this. Well,
Logan
that would be
Roy.
good for
Yeah.
the McDonald's commercial, actually. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm hating it. Fucking Mr. Krieg. All right, let's get into some people wrote in. The Tale of Two Curtises here. We got a Curtis via email and a Curtis on Patreon.
They must fight.
Different Curti. Different Curti here. The Curtis via email writes in, "Greetings, Matt and Eric. I'm sitting here listening to the Creed 2 recap episode, and Eric was just now talking about the cover of Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill by Placebo. I was wondering if either of you knew or remembered that cover was also used in a video package promo leading into the Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels 2 match at WrestleMania 2.
Oh, no. That's amazing. Why was that not the one that made it like a huge hit with the kids, with the youth?
All I know is that the first match, Michaels Undertaker won. The video package they made after the bout, not the one leading into it, talking about their feud and stuff, but the one where they're like, "This is the best match that's ever happened in the ring," and they put together a video package to it. Had a amazing. I'm gonna get all mixed up. I think it's Snow Patrol. I can't remember who sings the song. The Lightning Strikes, which is an amazing song that I became obsessed with after hearing it first in that video package.
I love it being introduced to music that way. I mean, I tell me if I've mentioned this on this podcast before. You might not remember because we have a lot of conversations on and off this podcast. But like, I was introduced to Billie Eilish because "You Should See Me in a Crown" was the official song of NXT TakeOver New York 2019, and I thought it was a really cool song. And then I was shocked to learn it was like a 16-year-old girl singing it. And Trish already knew her. But I had not. But that's I always so when I hear "You Should See Me in a Crown," I think Adam Cole versus Johnny Gargano, and like
we get all our musical recommendations from wrestling video packages. Curtis over on Patreon writes in, "Matt, if you find yourself with $100 million before you fade into the wilderness, could you please hire a team to re-edit Creed 2 into the Force Ghost cut?" Yes, I will do that. And the fade into the wilderness part comes from me probably having said on the podcast that if I ever got that much money, no one would ever hear from me again. Because it blows my mind how billionaires still need to feel the need to be in public, making people listen to what they have to say when they could just be. Why can't they just control things from the shadows like they're supposed to? Why do they have to be out front and center needing attention? It's so stupid. Okay. Ian, also we got some emails this week, not just all Patreon. So if you want to write in into weenjoypodcast@gmail.com, we will read it here. Unless it's hate mail, then we'll just read it on the toilet and cry. Okay. Ian writes in, Ian from the UK is back again. I just wanted to write a quick little message about the song Matt said he was looking for but couldn't find at the end of The Last of Us last week. So listening to the Last of Us podcast, it was sung by and composed by showrunner Craig Mazin's 18-year-old daughter. So I didn't know it was his own daughter who did that. Oh. So thank you. Yeah, he listened to the Last of Us podcast where Mazin talked about that. And apparently he asked her to do it. And then 2 weeks later, he hadn't heard anything and was like, "Where's my song?" To which she said, "Okay, Dad, here you go." And he had to explain he was going to put the song on television, and that's why it was important. Anyway, he in the email, you can go into the inbox, Eric, and he put a link to the interview itself.
I should look for that.
And so yeah, that's it for the write-ins this week. And you can become join us over on Patreon as a Hudson Honk, or just as a I think most of the Super Fun fans are Hudson Hawks now, but not all of them. There's still some lingerers out there who only get commercial-free episodes, but not the bonus episodes.
We love you all,
but still,
it's nice if you're a Hudson Hawk.
It is. It's nicer. It's much nicer up here.
But we love you even if you're not on the Patreon. But
we can't love everybody. What do we? Don't you want to people who don't even listen to us anymore? Next time,
I mean, a few, but not many.
Yeah. As we start the Evil Dead, obviously next week's main event is Evil Dead 2: Dead by Dawn, and then, but we're going to do Evil Dead. But first, our good things to enjoy. Eric, what is your recommendation this week? What good thing would you like to recommend for people to enjoy?
I often don't think about these things early enough, and then I'm like scrambling. But then I was like, oh. Right.
You look around the room. And
right behind me. I literally got this today, even though I've had the album before. I just got it on vinyl. But I am recommending. I'm doing my first music.
I was going to
album.
say, are you doing some tunes?
I'm doing some tunes.
Man, are you doing some freedom rock?
I'm doing some freedom rock. I am recommending the 2013 album "Welcome to Cobra Island" by Word Burglar. And if you're not familiar with Word Burglar, he is a Canadian rapper. And
Word
he is
Burglar, Eric, just liked a tweet of mine about 40 minutes ago.
Oh shit! Look, it was all I didn't give him a heads up that this was.
I was
happening.
gonna say everything's coming up. Word Burglar.
Yeah. But yeah, he's a Canadian rapper, and he is one of us. He grew up liking geeky shit, and like loving all the cartoons and the sci-fi and the comic books. And he does a lot of, and he's a really talented rapper. Really cool beats, like his songs are like very catchy.
I think his term is sick beats, Eric.
Sick beats. But he cool and sick. But his stuff is very nerd focused, and he'll have songs about like Wednesday going to the comic book shop. It's comic book day, new comic day, and he'll have an album that's like all sci-fi, so it's like a mix of Star Wars songs, Star Trek songs, Doctor Who, and Transformers, who are technically a sci-fi property. They're aliens, but I think the only time he's done an album that's only about one geeky thing, start to finish, is Welcome to Cobra Island, which, as you might be able to guess, maybe not, is G.I. Joe. It is start to finish a G.I. Joe album. And definitely, some people might be familiar with Rap Viper, which definitely got some attention. Its music video, which was kind of the single from it. But the whole album is super fun. If you grew up like we did as G.I. Joe fans, it goes very into everything you can imagine about G.I. Joe. It is making very direct references to the comic book lore, to the animated series lore. A lot of the songs are sampling, maybe all of them if I think about it, but most of the songs are sampling the music from the animated series and using it in really cool ways, all the specific different themes. But then there's like a song about like the just how dark Chuckles' life is, and there's a song about Zartan, and a song about there's 3 parts of a different song about a letter from Snake Eyes that tells his whole story, including when his sister got killed in the car accident with Cobra Commander's family. If you read the comics, you know all this shit. Anyway, it's a really fun album that I've listened to a million times, but I just got on vinyl. I decided I need, as I'm slowly becoming a vinyl guy, I decided I want Welcome to Cobra Island, which is a record. These days people don't listen, and I'm one of them, don't listen to records start to finish in like, when you have all your music and you're just listening to whatever. But I think vinyl is cool because it's helping me be like, let's listen to something start to finish again. And although Welcome to Cobra Island, I'll often listen to even digitally, but now I have it on vinyl as well. So anyway, in general, I recommend Word Burglar if you like, if you enjoy hip hop and geeky shit. Word Burglar has lots of great stuff, but particular Welcome to Cobra Island is, I believe, his greatest work. And if you like, I know it's available in many different ways, but if you Google it, you'll find it. You'll find his website. You'll find different places. I think it's on Spotify. It's definitely on vinyl because I own it. And you can find it out there. So that is my recommendation this week.
I need some of our listeners who are vinyl heads to explain to me a thing that I hate as somebody who also collects vinyl. Not because I think it sounds better, but because I like the packaging. It's something I did as a kid, and I want to feel smug.
I mean, I want to know. It helps these days, right? That Mondo is making like cool,
and like really cool like niche things. Like as far as like if you can target
great art,
us niche nerds, you'll get my money. But it's also one of those things where new albums that are put out and had their sound remastered and supposedly improved are now like they take old albums and split them between 2 discs, and each side has 2 or 3 songs.
Right.
I hate that. I would just want the old album that just has 2 sides. I don't want to have to change the side after 2 songs. And I understand that it supposedly makes it sound better, but I don't give a shit. I guess they widen the grooves because I don't know. Look, I'm not Walter White. I don't know what the science is behind this or math. I just want one disc. I don't want you to turn one album into like a multi-disc thing for no reason. So someone please write in and explain to me why they do this and why I should want it. I don't want that. It's so complicated. It's like I got, Depeche Mode's Music for the Masses, but it's split over 2 discs. I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is
yeah. No,
ridiculous.
I agree with that. And my other gripe is, and it's only maybe if I'd never seen this, I wouldn't gripe, but although I still think I'd think about it, which is I remember many years ago before I was collecting vinyl, I remember seeing a new album. I think it was a Lorde album that mentioned it on the sticker on the front that it came with, code to get digital version of it too. Much like if you buy a Blu-ray, 90% of Blu-rays come with it, so you get it digitally too. I do never see that now. I don't know if that was like a brief thing or if that Lorde album was a very rare thing, but it does seem like something that they could and should do more.
It makes sense, but also like everything's on Spotify. I understand not everyone has Spotify, but everything is just, artists are being robbed blind because of streaming music. And so maybe they just don't want to contribute to that. Or maybe they just find out people don't need it now because they have whatever Apple Music or they have whatever streaming service Amazon has their own too. Have you heard of AMP, by the way? It's an app that's mostly a mobile app, but there is a website. But basically, AMP is a place where people can have their own radio shows. Bean of Kevin and Bean, who is now part of a podcast with Allie McKay after the morning show at K-Rock in LA finally folded, does this just for fun every once in a while because he misses radio, and he just has like a Friday night AMP show. And you can, when you do AMP, I forget what service, I think it's Apple Music or Amazon, one of them, you can choose songs from any of their catalog to play, and you just have like an hour, and you can have call-ins too. So it can be like a radio show, but it's like an app only thing. Anyway, I always thought that was interesting. It's something that I want to do, but I also realize in my head, I'm not someone who can talk by themselves. Like, I am not talented enough at all. I could barely have a 2-person podcast, much less talk by myself for like an hour. Like a lot of, some of the best podcasters can do that. They could just even need a guest, right? Like,
I'm trying to think if I ever did a start to finish channel surfing on my own. I had some episodes where I definitely did interviews on my own, but I feel like that was an adjunct. I don't think that I never had you or Roth or someone for other parts of it. Yeah,
I just think it's challenging.
No, same here. No, same here. It's very challenging to just hold it on.
I say ums and ers enough that it drives myself crazy that I can't even imagine if I didn't have someone else to take the talking part for a while, what I would do.
The worst thing about this job is listening to myself to like transcribe or play back something and being like, why? I mean, I just said, as I said, like, just why do I say that so many times? Why do I do that so many times?
I forgive more than most. It's me going and and like,
but we all have it, or I know, or and a lot of people I interview do it too. I'm one of those people who will cut out stuff like that, where I see some people include every single little.
Oh no! When you transcribe, you cut that shit out. Who's including all that stuff?
I don't know. Once in a while,
rookie shit. Okay. Welcome to Cobra Island. Word Burglar is pretty damn great. So good recommendation there, Eric Goldman. My recommendation actually came. I saw clips of this show on TikTok first, and then 2 months later on Instagram, because that's where Instagram has TikToks months later, and then Facebook has those things 4 months after that. So everything sort of starts with TikTok. Then I was recommended this show by both Alan Sepinwall and listener Joe, who included it in one of his write-ins that I just didn't read aloud.
I've heard about this, yeah.
But so I finally hunkered down and watched Kunk on Earth, which we can watch here in the States on Netflix. And I assume that overseas in the UK, it's on a BBC channel or something like that, because it is a British series. It's 5 episodes, and it's a mockumentary that's actually produced and created by, it's a comedy. So when mockumentary sort of implies that, but I want to make that clear because it comes to us from the creator and writer of Black Mirror, Charlie Brooker.
Okay.
So tonally, it's very different. It's very much in the vein of like what you would think of like a Christopher Guest style mockumentary, but also like an extended Daily Show feature, if that makes sense too. Like it's played for comedy. There's a host played by comedian Diane Morgan. She plays Philomena Kunk, host of a show called Kunk on Earth, where she basically takes us through, over the course of 5 episodes, the history of civilization from sort of the dawn of early man to modern times with the internet and stuff like that. And she goes through religion and war and the Industrial Revolution. And it's really funny. And she plays the combination of idiot / overconfident dope. Like it's really like I can't explain to you what some of the bits are, but it's an extremely hilarious show. And they're just, when I say the Daily Show type thing, it's because she's also interviewing experts. And like the Daily Show, you never know how in on the joke the experts are.
Right.
Or maybe they're told it's a joke. Obviously, at this point, if they're part of the Daily Show, they should know what to expect. But some talking heads are more game to play around with her than others. Others are really mad and kind of upset with her questions and stuff like that. And she's pretty deadpan, and it's just a great watch. It's a quick watch too, so it doesn't overstay its welcome because it is sort of this one thing. The episodes are about a half hour long, and I highly recommend Kunk on Earth.
I've heard lots of great things about it. I want to check it out, and I've also heard people say that it's a shame that Netflix does not have Kunk on Britain, which was the show that preceded Kunk on Earth. That this character goes back years,
and she goes back with Charlie Brooker too, who
and what you're saying,
Weekly Wipe,
which sounds very Daily Show-ish, which is why, because it was like segments. So it's like the fact that you're saying that there's a Daily Show vibe. I'm like, oh well, this character originated on a show that was like
that was like that, but
things.
Across the pond, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, go watch it. It's quick, it's funny, and you'll feel you'll feel worse about everything afterwards. Yay! Okay, let's get into the Evil Dead next week. Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, and where could that be watched? Rent or Buy?
Rent or Buy pretty much everywhere. And then I saw it listed on a streaming service called Indie Flicks, and I have no idea what that
bullshit.
is. I don't know if it's a pay one. I don't know if anything about it. But
subscribing to a Flubo or a Peepaw.
I don't know. It could be the greatest streaming service on earth. But anyway.
Oh, by the way, Evil Dead was not on Shudder. It was on AMC Plus.
Oh, weird.
Isn't that weird? Okay,
it's very weird. Sorry if we misled you then last week, guys.
But I just wound up because I didn't own it. I just bought it on Vudu along with Evil Dead 2.
Sure.
All right, The Evil Dead, a seminal horror movie. I feel weird saying seminal these. Ever since like years ago when I found out that it actually comes from the word semen, it sounds weird to say seminal. Anyway, but yeah, just a hugely influential horror movie, splatter horror movie in terms of its gore, its effects. It instantly established Raimi's style as a director with his camera style, at least. We should say this was also one of the low budget triumphs of its time. Coming on after Halloween, became the most successful independent movie of all time at that point. This movie really was sort of a ramshackle deal that was done by friends who raised the money themselves independently, and then by hook or by crook went across the country screening it on their own. And then thanks to a cool pull quote from Stephen King, who loved the movie, it got them a much larger platform to release the film. And but yeah, this movie was, what was it made for? Like $300,000?
It was a dirt cheap movie.
Dirt cheap movie, for inflations that would still be a couple million right now, but it's still dirt cheap. It feels dirt cheap, but it also it's never so dirt cheap that it takes you out of its world. Like the world is confident and established and really fun and unique. Even though Raimi himself sort of pulls from the old horror he grew up with, it still creates it's a combination of that spooky ghost house horror with super gore, which I don't know if those two entities had sort of been combined in this way before.
No, because as we mentioned before, and we'll mention next week when we do Evil Dead 2, by the mid 80s, this was like a very popular thing to do. Was the super gory comedically tinged, which the series will lean more.
And this one isn't the comedy. The next one is, but you will see as we go through this, there are those little seeds of comedy. There are moments that do make you laugh, perhaps unintentionally.
But there's also it's a weird thing of 2020 hindsight, because knowing, and I forgive me, I think on this series even more than others, we might have to tiny telegraph and talk about things if you've never seen them, but it's like this is the only movie that's not overtly like half comedy. And when you watch it now, because you know where the series goes, but we also know a lot more about these guys behind the scenes, and we know, for instance, that Sam Raimi thinks it's really funny to beat up Bruce Campbell and to pour things on him. Yeah. So it's funnier now than it would have been.
Yeah, when we get the context of their friendship and we sort of coat everything. And
Sam loves to torture Bruce. When you watch that first movie now, like I've seen it in like revival screenings and stuff, and it gets of course there's some laughs at like some of the low budget movie stuff and some of the line readings, but there's also stuff that I think was always tinged with intentional comedy, but now plays really comedy because of knowing the context about the series and the real life friendship between these guys. Yeah.
I don't even know if it was some of the things were supposed to be like funny. I think they were just supposed to be fun. Like anytime he looks at the necklace, obviously we think of the cheesier scenes played with the necklace in the next movie, but in its own right, it's still a really sappy thing to do.
Sure.
That I don't think is supposed to quite evoke laughter, but it is supposed to make you smile and sort of little giddy in its own way. This movie, so I saw that you introduced me to Evil Dead 2. Wasn't middle school. I think it was after.
Okay.
We were back living in LA.
Okay.
And I watched Evil Dead 2 before I watched this first one. So
same here, by the way. I saw the second one first.
Yeah. And
I think a lot of people our age, that's how they saw it. You
obviously can, because the second one is meant to stand on its own. It's because it's a quasi remake. The element here that I thought was interesting is like going into this blind, if I were to go in this blind, which I wasn't, but like I think it's fun to know you don't necessarily know who the hero is. You don't know who's supposed to survive this, if anyone.
No.
You don't know that by the third act it's just Bruce Campbell. You don't know that that's the way it's supposed to play out. You know, obviously at this point we're still into like there are final girls. Like, are any of these people, the three women in the cabin, are they going to survive? And then by the end, once Linda turns, and then once Scotty comes in and he's all fucked up, like it's just Ash. Yeah. And like he has to survive the night. And he's even played, I guess there's some telegraphing because he's kind of played as, I wouldn't call him cowardly, but he's the hesitant one, especially the first like big fight where Scotty has to do most of the heavy lifting and actually
grab the axe,
takes the axe from him, right? So it is fun where he gets to do it. I guess if we knew that he was best friends with the director at the time, we would say, oh, he's living. Right. But we didn't know anything.
Maybe not, because sometimes it could be the Michael Rooker thing where he's not the lead with James Gunn. This movie is it's a hell of a calling card movie, which obviously is what it ended up being. It did, but it's also impressive when you look at it because it's like these three friends, Rob Tappert, Sam Raimi, and Bruce Campbell make a movie together. Raimi and Campbell going back to childhood, right? And the fact that they've all had really good careers. I mean, Sam Raimi's directed like giant movies. And Bruce Campbell, while he's not like a giant movie star, is like, had a great career as like a character actor / cult lead. And then Robert Tappert, being a big producer with Sam Raimi and producing the Hercules and Xena shows and Spartacus and all these big franchise shows. So it's like, it's rare that a movie of this sort, like a tiny little movie like this, that many people would like have big careers. Even
and also a production company too.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're
Renaissance.
So it's fun to see like that this is what germinated from this movie in all different directions, different tones and stuff like that.
And the composer Joe DeLuca, besides the fact that he worked on the rest of the Evil Dead stuff and other Sam Raimi productions, it's like, he does the score to the Chucky series. It's like he's worked, he got an award for Brotherhood of the Wolf score. So it's like
God,
a movie.
I still need to see that stupid movie.
You do.
It's supposed to be really good.
So a movie that this low budget, it's just rare that many people would like have really successful career. It's kind of impressive that these buddies from Michigan
and Lucy Lawless, not just because she was on Xena, but because she married Rob Tabor, like became part of the going crew because she was on
Yes.
Spartacus and a character on Ash versus Evil Dead for 2
Mhm.
seasons. So, all right. So Raimi immediately establishes a style in the first just 5 minutes. Like the sound design in this is really cool, even though a lot of, the Foley effects and the sound design, even though they're obviously add-ins, but they do so much to make this movie work, from
Mhm.
trees smashing through glass to cellar doors popping open to clocks stopping. Like it really adds, because there are some extended sequences here of people creeping around and looking at things. And so the floorboards are creaky and the doorknobs are squeaky. And it's like, I just want to call out the sound design here for such a small budgeted movie. Obviously the effects, I think, took up most of the budget, but the camera work and the sound do loads here. And with Raimi as a first time like film director, obviously he'd been making his own films, going around their neighborhood growing up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, he's Spielbergian in that manner. So it's not like his first time behind the camera, but for a first movie, there's so many different like daring compositions and angled shots and POV shots, and that upside down shot at the end where it comes around, those extreme close-ups that he does.
Yeah.
Like they're all here. It wasn't even something that he built up over his theatrical film career. They're in his first theatrical film. So, and then now we look at his movies looking for these things. Like we're watching Multiverse of Madness looking for a Raimi shot.
Yeah. No, you watch the trailer and you see that shot hurtling towards Scarlet Witch's eye and into her eye. And you're like, oh yeah, classic Sam Raimi shot. And when we say classic, we mean 1981's Evil Dead.
Yeah.
The Evil Dead, because this movie being made on such a low budget and yet being so creative visually, is very impressive. And there's a lot of fun. Obviously at this point, this is one of those tiny movies that has now become so beloved and important that there's been a lot of documentaries about it and interviews. And Bruce Campbell's book, If Chins Could Kill, I remember, goes into a lot of the making of this movie. And it's just, it's really impressive because to pull off a lot of these shots, they had to just be like super creative. Physically, they had to like, kind of, tape things together and, just really, nuts and bolts this, but it works. And from the very beginning, like you said, like when them driving along, there's still these like crazy Dutch angles, like extreme Dutch angles of the truck. And just the first shot of the movie is the like sort of Raimi cam, the force in the woods, whatever it's supposed to be.
Oh yeah. And the shots go from like elaborate to like, okay, the POV shot of Cheryl as a demon looking at them from the cellar they locked and holding onto the chains, just like looking at them walk around the main living room of the cabin. But like it extends also to like when Scotty's approaching the cabin for the first time and he's walking up slowly, it cuts back to the other 4 of them just standing there by the car as the camera moves away from them. Like he's not looking at them backing up or anything. It's just
right.
It's just all really interesting, like the way that they storyboarded this movie out and I mean, I don't know how much planning went into it, but I feel like a lot of these things have to sort of have been, especially with a tight budget, you have to you can't do that much on the fly. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah,
have you seen The Fabelmans yet, by the way?
I haven't. I want to, because so many, not just you, but so many people have said like it's not the jerking off of Hollywood type movie, the magic of movie making movie that the trailers want you to think it is. It's actually a lot more substantial than that. So
it is, but also just you get this look at like, again, Sam Raimi obviously is like, older at the point he makes this movie, that he's not a high school kid. But like you saying how it's like these people who grew up just really talented and have like a natural visual eye. Because in The Fabelmans, when he's like recreating himself as a teenager making movies with his friends, but how he's like thinking of really clever things and how they can stage things and how they can make like it look like people are like actually shooting a gun on camera that actually has like a flash from the muzzle, and how he pulled that off in the freaking 60s. It's all really cool, but again, which just reminds me of like Sam Raimi making something like this and having to just be very creative, because it's not like he's like, we'll do it in post.
It's too bad that AIs will make all of our movies in 5 years. But anyway,
Right.
it's a real magical process.
Yeah.
We are so like you said, like the opening shot is the sort of the evil force going through the woods. We've got fog, we've got the smoke machines going, we've got swampy waters, we've got like the bog of these Tennessee the Tennessee forest that they're heading into, and we meet the 5 leads. We meet Ash, who is called Ashley several times in this film.
Mm-hmm.
His sister Cheryl. Pay attention to that character because it may come up again, and not in this main event. I mean, in a future podcast. We've got Scotty, we've got Ash's girlfriend Linda, and Scotty's girlfriend Shelly. Yes. And no one else went on to do anything super duper important in the entertainment world. I know that Cheryl has been in movies and such, and TV, and here and there. Ellen Sandweiss, her name is, if I'm saying that right. Mm-hmm. And they're on the road. They're on their way to this cabin. They're talking about how cheap it is, and Scotty said it's going to be fun, even though the place is probably going to be run down because of the price. This is one of the, if not the movie that originated the cabin in the woods sort of motif, even though we played around with cabins in the woods as far as like Friday the 13th and Camp
year before this. Yeah.
Like so,
but yeah, like this definitely, I think, solidified the lone a group of kids going up to a, very, isolated cabin. This movie is a big,
which would now be a sort of a scare B&B. But yeah, at the time they're still renting cabins. I want to say this, I'm jumping ahead a few minutes here, but you think that they're sort of these party monsters, and they're kind of not. And I think that's a little indicative of who Bruce and Sam were as kids growing up, sort of a little dorkier, because they're not Scotty is a little bit of sort of like the what you would see from like an 80s like bully boyfriend. He's not that. He's not fully that. He is their friend, but he's the guy who likes to scare his girlfriend.
But he's the funny douchey one.
Yeah. But no one's there to like get fucked up or something. They make themselves like a nice looking dinner. They have like a giant Olive Garden salad. They made a salad is my point. Like they don't just like,
they're salad makers.
I think they were having like macaroni and cheese, and like it looked like a full course meal as far as like what you would consider like these college students, or they're supposed to be in college, like would do from like a weekend in the cabin. Like, and they're all just sort of like, I feel like they're all just napping. They're all just there to like fall asleep by the fire. There's no like, Scotty isn't even like the horn dog. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can't wait to get Shelly alone in a room. There's none of that even. It's just like, hey, we're all like really good friends. We're just going to go to a remote cabin and kind of unwind. Life's stressful, man.
One of the first moments that now strikes me as like very, again, like intentionally funny is a weird term to use, because I don't know if they meant this to be like a hysterically funny moment, but I also think it was meant to be a little like just, we're having fun here, and also show the fact that Raimi is, an interesting guy, because it's like he's like loves like to get really gory and visually inventive, but he also has a big old-timey love. Huge love of Three Stooges, which comes into play in all these movies, including this one. But also he loves like old, like 1930s and 40s, like talk fast movies. And he co-wrote Hudsucker Proxy with their good friends, the Coen brothers. Joel Coen, I believe, was an assistant editor on this movie, Evil Dead. But it's just like, even like that little bit where in the car where they're talking about the cabin and will it be shitty or not. And there's this part where Ash goes, well, it might not be that bad. And Linda goes, no. And he goes, actually, it might be kind of nice. She goes, yeah. And it's like, it's like they knew what they were doing with stuff like that. Like it's
and then even like down in the cellar later, like it's sort of this old timey ragtime, and it plays out the whole movie. Like the end credits are this sort of like 1930s ragtime music. So sort of showing his hand here at like the classic TV and movies he grew up with. And then we start before we even get to like the Book of the Dead and the Necronomicon and the incantations and all that stuff. There is still something in the woods. Now the when the professor reads aloud this stuff, he makes it clear that like this Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon, allows
called out
people.
yet.
Yeah, I know it's not yet. Allows people to be possessed.
Yeah.
But it doesn't prevent things from fucking with you, because even before that, I guess Cheryl's hand gets possessed and she draws the book.
Yeah.
While he's driving, the wheel gets sort of taken away from him and he almost crashes into the Lazy Mary truck that's sort of almost in a head-on collision. And then there's just weird fucking things that are already, before they even find the book, things are going weird in that house.
Yeah.
The cellar door, the screen, things stop moving. Like it seems like the wind is catching the porch swing, but then it stops. The grandfather clock pendulum stops. So there's already stuff going on, and Sam Raimi's sort of having fun with that, because at this point, people going into this movie kind of blind, don't know what this movie's about. They don't know if it's going to be ghosts. They don't know how. I'm pretty sure they're clueless about the absolute spewing of goop that there's going to be in the future.
Yes.
But there was a story too going around back that he, at one of the screenings, he hired some ambulances out front, as far as his love of old timey horror hype. Because when horror movies used to promise to put you in the hospital,
right,
because you had a heart attack or you had a mental break,
which the 70s had a lot of. You will not be. This movie will literally fuck you up, and you won't be able to handle it.
Yeah. So again, they're not wild kids. They're just there to sort of they're there to relax, and and then things start going wrong because of the cellar, and eventually they go down into the cellar. After they've had a nice meal, after they've sort of like,
I will say, if I were Cheryl, I might mention, hey, did you know my hand got possessed? And I
drew a weird book.
I violently drew a book because she just like she goes to having a nice dinner right after that.
Maybe that happens to her all the time, though. Maybe that wasn't even to do with
right.
And Ash is like, I swear to God, Cheryl, if I hear you talk about your drawing hand one more time.
We should mention that when Scotty plays his classic Scotty prank and doesn't answer when he goes into the cellar and Ash goes looking for him. Yeah. A couple things. One is, what a fucking huge cellar, because there's like a second room to it.
Well, it's like a root cellar too.
Yeah. But also, there is a torn up Hills Have Eyes poster, and this would begin a pleasant, a nice back and forth nod to each other that Raimi and Craven would continue to do through the 80s.
That's right.
And Nancy watches this movie, Evil Dead, in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, and Evil Dead 2 has a Freddy glove kind of hidden around the work shed, and so it was a fun little thing that began with that torn up Hills Have Eyes poster.
Well, the second half of this movie is heavy on glop. The first half is heavy on atmosphere, because Scotty had to tour everything. He walks from room to room. He goes into the woodshed and like sees the chainsaw, and that's when we see like the skulls and the hanging totems and the weird things. And so there's a lot of sort of poking around and looking around in the first part of this movie, and part of that is Cheryl being convinced there's something down in the cellar, and Scotty goes down there, pretends to be dead. He's not dead. What a dick. But
oh my God, two funny things in this scene. Well, first he does boo to Ash, and Ash smiles. But then I love when they find the book, but they also find the knife, the dagger with the cool skull handle. And I love when Scotty says to Ash, "This kind of looks like your old girlfriend," and Ash cracks up. He's like, "It does."
Yeah, he's like, "You're right."
Like a dead skull.
Dead ringer. It was just a dead skull, and when I would stab people with her, blood would come out of the mouth. It was really cool. My favorite part of the Book of the Dead in this movie is that there's a picture of the Book of the Dead in the Book of the Dead. It's like, step 1, get one of these.
Well, it's more like, look what we did.
And in that book is another picture of a Book of the Dead. This never ends. Yeah, so we get the first basically no one's nothing. I don't think they're ever really. I think it isn't until like Ash versus Evil Dead that they're called Deadites. Like that was something
that term was definitely being used off screen though.
It was an off screen thing that became a thing fans
like in
also
Evil Dead,
glommed
like
onto.
Fangoria interviews, they'd call them Deadites by Army of Darkness.
But this movie does establish that this was an excavation from Kandar, and this is Kandarian daggers, Kandarian demons. And so whatever that place means, I believe it's spelled with a C, not a K. I could be wrong. But yeah, so that part is established, but like the Deadite thing was kind of a trade term that became lore after decades eventually in Ash versus Evil Dead.
That happens. God damn it. I'm now, of course, as we say this, I'm completely blanking, but there's other franchises I know that are kind of, that's a thing where like an off-screen term, it takes many movies and then they finally, someone says it. God damn it, it's going to kill me. I'm going to try to think about it by the end of this podcast.
Okay, all right, good luck. I wish
there was a really recent example of like part 5 of something. Someone said like the thing that they're always saying in interviews, but we'll see if I can remember.
I didn't Joel say in the last of Us episode, he's like, I'm a zaddy. Didn't he say that?
Yes, he did.
Well, I'm gonna make you recall it separate things just to fuck up your memory. It's not called Necronomicon Ex Mortis in this. What is it called? Natural Demonto? Something I couldn't remember. It is called something dead. Its Latin term or faux Latin term is different in this Evil Dead than it is going forward.
Yes, although it's interesting that it's there's I mean the idea of the Book of the Dead obviously goes back way further. But the idea
it's Lovecraft. It's supposed to be.
I was going to say the Lovecraft, the Necronomicon stuff. A lot of it is based in Lovecraft.
So bound in human flesh, inked in human blood, filled with dick pics, and it's supposed to.
And really cool. Whoever I wonder whoever did the art for the interiors, and they will reuse. A lot of things will change in this series, including even like the face on the front of the book looks different. Mm-hmm. But the interior pages, a lot of them get reused because they look cool. Whoever did that art for them did a great job.
I agree. It looks cool.
There's like a muscle-bound demon-y creature.
Maybe we'll finally see that dude in Evil Dead Rise.
Perhaps.
He's like, you called the landlord, right? And then the door burst open. Like, I'm the landlord.
Sorry, it took so long.
Yeah, I came out of a book. Let's see. So then we get the classic thing that's happened, not just in the remake of this movie, which some consider Evil Dead 2 to be, but going forward to the funnest, silliest way to call forth the forces of hell, which is accidentally playing it on a tape recording. And so they pull it up. They're listening, kind of innocently. They don't know he's about to like sort of go into the chanting, but they're listening.
They certainly don't. Except for Cheryl's nervousness, they also don't have any reason to think that this will literally cause what he's talking about to happen. Yeah.
And so, they basically, she's the only one freaking out, screaming, "Shut it off."
Oh, I'm sorry. One pause. I thought of one example, not the one I was thinking of, but I'll tell you one example I know, which is Scream. Well, in the first movie, Tatum says, "Oh, please, Mr. Ghostface, don't kill me." I don't think it's till Scream 5 and Richie being like, "Holy shit, it's Ghostface!" Like that's like his like on screen, like that people think of him or that persona as Ghostface.
Well, and it's funny because you can that makes sense because of the Stab movies.
Right.
So it's like the Stab movies would have so I get it. It works on a couple weird meta levels there, but it is still a term that existed before someone. Before they actually actively called him out as Ghostface.
It was something on set for them to be like, Ghostface coming to the scene, but now it's like become part of the actual lore.
It's also always an interesting thing that like Ghostface is Ghostface, but also Ghostface is never the same person ever. Like it's so, but that person is always Ghostface. But we're very close now to the very brutal tree rape scene.
Which I felt bad. Like I was like, oh, we didn't really warn people. Like this movie has sexual assault in it, because it's something I forget. The funny thing about this movie is this is the Evil Dead movie I've seen the least. Even though I dig this movie, but I really love where the series goes after this, where it really embraces the comedy much more overtly. So it's like, not that I forget that this scene happens, I just don't think about it as much because I don't watch this movie nearly as much as I watch Evil Dead 2, and the other ones. But yes, this is the notorious scene of this movie. If we ever do Reanimator, we'll talk about the notorious scene in that movie. But yeah, this a scene that it's like a scene that like like not only would they never not do it today, but they would never do it again. It's like, because we don't think of like Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell as like vicious people. It's very much like a young guy's thing to do, right? Like we need to push buttons, and
you could say the same thing of Wes Craven, right? Like his
his early
stuff, exploitation stuff, like for sure. So different time, different era of cinema, but also like young people possibly not thinking with the same mind they would 20 years later.
No.
As far as like what can be effective without going for the complete shock and awe.
Right.
And again, it's not just the tree rape scene, the vines like rip her clothes and wrap her up and stuff like that. But like, this is another one of those extended sequences because it's all just also Cheryl hearing the voices, going outside, looking around, and extended in not just in its creeping around and snooping around, but in its brutality as well, because it's like she gets away from the trees and runs back. So it's like it extends beyond that, because at a certain point, people will just vanish into the woods and you it's left to your imagination. Here, it continues with her as she runs back to the cabin, and it chases her with Raimi cam before she goes in. So yeah, it's
I'll go for it. Sorry.
No. I was just saying it's it was shocking then. It's more shocking now, I think, if you're watching this for the first time or the first time in a long time to sort of remember, like, but I also think that it's very telling of the era of what a lot of these movies were doing at the time. So
yeah, absolutely. And it's always weird when this movie plays at revival theaters because we're all having fun. And again,
and then there's that one guy.
And then there's this. What were you gonna say?
There's this one guy just going woo.
Well, there might be that, but most of us, it's like, oh, this is the part that we're like, oh, let's just get through this part. After that, when she runs for the cabin, again, this movie it's the first movie in a franchise, but also there'll be very purposeful, direct callbacks and visual things that will happen in every one of these movies, where Raimi's like, this is the moment where we do this. It's like, almost like saying, I've got a bad feeling about this in Star Wars. So it's funny that it's like, oh yeah, this is the first time someone is being chased by the Raimi cam, which is kind of a fun thing because we never know what they see. We don't know if they even see anything or they just feel the presence. It's just like the idea
you get
that
the sense that they do see something, especially like when Ash turns around at the end and screams. But like, I feel like they see something, and it is goofy in its vagueness, because it could, us seeing them scream from a POV cam is scary. Us imagining them, what they're looking at is goofy. You know what I mean? Like coming through the air. I don't care what it looks like. It's probably pretty goofy. But once Cheryl, and it's not just Cheryl like making it her way to the door, but it's the whole like thing that you get when you watch old cinema, because Spielberg had it too, as far as like watching like serials where, oh, they're not going to make it. She's reaching for the keys. Obviously, the thing's way too close, and like it plays with time. Indiana Jones movies did this big time, where it's like he can't grab the hat. He's too far away. Oh, but now he's really close. Oh, it's just kind of that thing where it plays around with what we think, how close something is, how long something's been going on, but we buy into it, and she makes it inside. And this is a part where this movie actually bucks horror convention a bit, because she's freaking out. Obviously, not everyone believes her, but she's hysterical enough to want to leave, and Ash,
and that her brother is like, okay,
it's like, I'm gonna take her. I'm gonna take you out. We're gonna leave in the classic Raimi mobile that's been in all of his movies. We didn't mention that. We didn't mention
this car has been in every single Sam Raimi movie, even hidden in Quick and the Dead, a Western. And, is, of course, I think the most notable is Uncle Ben's car, just because it's like, that is a giant movie franchise. But it was floating in the multiverse of madness just last year when they were on that one. The world
It is,
with
yeah, his Oldsmobile Delta 88.
That somehow is still surviving long enough to keep being Bruce Campbell and that car are in everything Sam Raimi does.
I don't like to use the term hysterical, but Cheryl was being pretty hysterical. But she's saying it's the woods themselves. She's like, they're not going to let us leave. The car won't start at first, but then it does. And then, so yeah, an earnest effort is made to actually remove her from this scenario and possibly save two of these people before the actual bad shit starts going down. But it doesn't work because the evil forces have destroyed the bridge. Again, the bridge that wasn't in good shape to begin with. Yes. You could argue that they made it collapse themselves, that they were looking to sort of rationalize what was going on because they did sort of crash through with their tire. It was crumbling. But now it looks like it's been completely exploded up into the sky. And they have to go back. And then at that point, they have to go back and wait for daylight because if they need to walk out of there, they need to see. So they're there for the night. And this is when all hell starts breaking loose.
It's going to be a bad night for everyone.
It's going to be a bad night. And they're trying to pass the time by playing... they're trying to play the Peter Venkman game from Ghostbusters where they just guess what card is there. But then Cheryl starts naming the cards and she turns around and our first look at a Deadite as she is possessed by a Kandarian demon.
First look and also first hearing the cool voice overlay that will become a
that's Raimi,
big part
right?
of it.
Yeah, the Raimi doing the voice, but yeah, the Deadite voice is also something that's very, very memorable from these movies and sort of
and that
hallmark.
Look, like the white eyes. Even
the bigger cheekbones and orbital bones, that is sort of protruding out a bit.
Yeah,
and
it's distinct. I mean, it's a low budget movie, so it's like you might be able to like quote unquote tell it's makeup, but it's cool looking. Like it's a distinct cool look that I think you can see why they continued that look throughout the series.
I also think
this becomes the first scene where Ash becomes a ragdoll who to be thrown about and to have bookshelves fall on him.
I come to realize that the Winchester brothers did this for over a decade on Supernatural. What Sam Raimi started with demons throwing people against walls, which happens quite a bit in this movie, and into bookshelves when we know very well that they could also just stab them or bite them or do something gory to them. But instead choosing to just knock them around. Raimi started that. And I would argue that the Winchester brothers took up the mantle because so many of the times they, it's TV, so we don't imagine that they broke any ribs, even though I think if we actually looked at Dorian Gray pictures of what Sam and Dean looked like after a decade of demon hunting on that show, they'd look pretty gnarly and misshapen.
Yes, I think they'd be pretty fucked up. But yeah, that like the stuff that's like extra funny now is like not just that she throws Ash, but that he lands, the bookshelf falls on him, and that's obviously now we know the Sam Raimi and the fact that Sam Raimi would do as much personally as he could off camera. I know we mentioned this when we did Spider-Man because he threw shit at Tobey Maguire filming the wrestling scene that we were there for, but it's like. And so he kept that tradition for other leading men, but Bruce Campbell being his favorite to I will physically harm you.
He also repeatedly hit Tobey Maguire in the head with a satchel. Remember when he bends down when he's going to college and he drops his book, but then someone walks by and hits him in the fucking head.
I think so. Yeah.
He's a psychopath, Sam Raimi.
He's like, I became a director.
So I could just hit people.
I could be allowed to do this to people.
And then we also have the first major moment of gore, which was the pencil stab to Linda's ankle.
Which got me. I remember the first time I saw this movie, again, after I'd seen Evil Dead 2, and that moment really got me. I saw
anything to the ankle or Achilles heels is gross. Like in Pet Sematary when Gage slices Herman Munster's ankle. like Ed Gwynn. What's his name? Ed Gwynn, right?
Fred
Gwynn.
Yeah.
Ed Gwynn is someone else. If anybody. Is that a real person? Or did I just make up the Ed part?
I mean, I'm sure it exists.
Yeah. Who is Ed Gwynn? So then and then they basically get rid of Cheryl for the meantime by putting her down in the cellar and locking it up. But it's also the start of one demon fighting a room full of people. Like that also sort of becomes a Deadite trademark that it takes a village. So sometimes to take down a Deadite. Later, Ash can kind of do it on his own as he becomes more of a eyebrow raising comedic badass. But right now they lock her down. They don't know what to do. Linda's in the other room. She can't walk out of there.
Yeah.
Cheryl's peeking up at them and taunting them too.
And we get our first join us.
The join us part. Wait, is it the first? I thought the join us part was when Cheryl first went out.
Yeah,
I'm
getting ahead. I screwed up my notes.
Yeah. You're not getting ahead. You're going backwards because I think the incantations happen, and then she hears join us and goes out into the woods.
Maybe is that the first time? Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I put a couple join us because
they does say it over and over again.
Yeah, it happens quite a bit.
It is a pyramid scheme. They do need new members constantly. And then we've got so we'll just skip ahead right here to the big fight, which is when Shelley, Scotty's girlfriend, turns out that she's a demon, and it is the ankle stab is one thing, but what the scuffle they have with Shelley that Ash and Scotty have is quite the goop fest. Just for the fact that they're like they can like tear up, which will happen to Ash too later. But then yes, her head being on fire and the goop starting to drip, the funny mix of like blood and like milk coming out of them. Yeah, sometimes it's like sperm, sometimes it's black stuff, sometimes it's pinkish,
blue.
Yeah,
there's like a blue-green near the end.
And so basically slicing her wrist, her biting into her own wrist, stabbing her in the back with a dagger.
And then stuff that I'm like, okay, this is Raimi having fun, which is she tries to grab the dagger out, including with her stump. Like she's like reaching her stump arm behind to grab it. But stabs her. Her hand is on the dagger.
Yeah.
Like her still gripping hand holding on to it.
I can't remember when they listened to the rest of the professor's stuff where he's like, my wife's possessed and the only way you can stop it is dismemberment and stuff like that. But at this point, I feel like they already listened to it because Scotty winds up like chopping her up. After a fake out where she reveals she's still alive, he basically chops her hands off, her feet off. And from every stump comes goop.
And we get that cool shot again, this creativity of her point of view of Scotty chopping her up has like blood covers our what we're seeing. It's
the camera,
covering the camera, which is her point of view. It's all very cool.
And already mentioned is like Ash being hesitant in this fight and like not holding the axe the whole time that Scotty's struggling with her and trying not to get killed and not doing anything.
But Scotty's an asshole. Earlier we jumped over the part where I can't remember Cheryl or Shelley, but one of them, because he says something about like look like a turd, and she's like, oh, like you. He's like, what if I break your face? And then after this is when he's like, I don't care about Linda. She's your girlfriend. I'm going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
But he does have a very funny moment here, which is after he has just completely dismembered Shelley. And it's just this horrific, shocking moment. And Ash says, Scotty? And he just goes, yeah. Like he does a very casual, like, what's up?
He's like, this happened at the last cabin I took people to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, these cabins. So they go bury her, and like you said, Scotty's like, I'm out of here.
Right.
And
screw you guys.
But it seems like he's back 5 minutes later. I don't know how much time has passed. This doesn't feel like a lot of time, but at this point, it's all just Ash because Scotty comes back in no condition to do anything. He's kind of dying, and he stays that way until he winds up popping up as a demon toward the end. But then Linda is possessed now. Now you've got Linda, who's sort of being like, she's got more of like a little girl voice and taunting and just laughing a lot to the point where Ash just starts beating her in the face repeatedly. But then you've also got Cheryl in the basement. And, so he's just surrounded now by insanity that all is trying to kill him. And he just needs to wait for the sun to rise.
Yeah.
And he's the only one that remains. And there's a part here where he basically takes Linda outside. And again, not well done as far as like cinema goes, but like, because it's just like a glaring spotlight on them outside with no inclination of like what would be giving off that light source if not a production crew.
Well, I'll tell you what would be giving off that light source: the purposely exaggerated giant moon that we saw earlier.
That's following them like a spotlight.
The massive moonlight is. Yeah.
And there's even a point where the women, Cheryl and Linda, both try to like trick him and turn him normal. And like they turn normal, and they speak to him in normal voices, and they're like, I'm not going to change anymore and stuff like that. And he's like, why are you torturing me like this? Unknowing that he'll be tortured like this for many more movies and TV shows to come.
And mixing in, because again, it's like Raimi, while his movies aren't like, horrifyingly scary, he definitely knows how to do creepy well, because I will say possessed Linda like sitting on the floor
with the white eyes,
grinning and laughing, that's pretty cool. Like that's a cool creepy image.
His solution to this, by the way, is to drag Linda outside and leave her and go back inside. like Fred Flintstone trying to put the cat out for the night. Like because he literally goes back to the cabin, tries to give gross Scotty's face some water, like, here, drink.
Oh yeah, it's just dribbling down,
just dribbling, and then she attacks him.
He's like, you're gonna be okay, man.
And then Linda attacks him, and so that did nothing, but she falls and is impaled on the knife, and goopy glop explodes all from her mouth. And then this is the point where he takes her to the shed and gets the chainsaw.
Yes,
but balks. He sees the necklace, he can't do it, and
but after that very stylized scene of him chaining her down, and these really cool shots of him prepping to dismember her, but yes, can't go through with it.
But then he tries to bury her. She pops out of the grave like the poster,
and she does. I'm sorry, I do want to backtrack a second, because we didn't talk about either the setup or the callback of the very funny a scene that played very funny in revival screenings, which is Ash pretending to be asleep when Linda comes over to him and he wants to give her the necklace.
And he's holding the jewelry box,
and every time he's got his eyes closed, and every time she looks at him, he'll have his eyes open, but when she looks at him, he closes them, and it's very silly, but it's played very exaggerated with these extreme close-ups of both their eyes. But then the callback when possessed, so seemingly dead Linda is now playing that game. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
It's good. It's good stuff. As was him decapitating her with a shovel.
Yes, that was great.
After beating her with like a giant wooden stake of some sort. But like the body lands on him and the head lands separately, but both the body and head are still alive, and it barfs up copious amounts of squirtum all over his face.
And this is right like into his mouth.
Yeah,
and again, it's. I still think watching it, you'd be like, "That's outrageous and funny," and now it has that extra torturing Bruce Campbell, extra pep to it. Now that we know the full context of these two knuckleheads,
and then he goes back in, and the cellar doors open, and he's creeping around. Cheryl eventually pops up in the window, smashes her head, but now he needs to go back down into the cellar because he needs ammo.
Yes.
And this is the point where Sam Raimi was just going to cover Bruce Campbell with something viscous. It didn't have to come from a body. So he's like, what if the pipe just burst and shot blood all over your face, right? Directly into your mouth.
That'd be amazing.
Eyes.
There's great visuals here. So first of all, yes, extremely funny. The pipe. But I will also say just some cool visuals, like the bulb filling with blood, and also the projector with the blood dripping on it, and it makes the blood on the screen behind him, the red on the screen. That's a great visual. Again, seeing that Sam Raimi is so visually creative, even within the context of this very limited budget, and will continue to sort of have that skill as he goes on in the decades.
And this is where the projector turns on to, and it plays movies and music, and it all just fucks around with him. sort of indicating the type of things that'll happen in the next movie a little bit,
Yes,
as far as Ash not just being attacked by the demons, but being attacked by the house itself, not even in physical ways, but just in sort of emotional and mental ways, as far as just being too silly, just being silly and driving him crazy, and being a kind of an all in all a nuisance, really.
Sure. I think you were mentioning this shot earlier, but like
the upside down shot. Yeah.
Upside down shot. That's great. That then floats down in front of Ash's face.
Into a really big close up, like we'd seen before.
Mm-hmm.
His the mirror becoming water. Everything is just sort of
and seeing him kind of losing it here, like screaming. The window, the storm shutters slamming, and him screaming.
But fortunately, the demons are there to sort of snap him back into gory reality, because Scotty's a demon now, and he pops up, but he gets his eyes gouged out, and then there's just a big fight with everyone.
And so much. This is when it's just all pouring blood.
It's all pouring blood.
He pulls the dagger out of Scotty, and Scotty is like he has a hose. It's just like blood shooting out of his wound. It's amazing.
Now, the solve in this movie is Ash decides to throw the book after he, just barely gets hit by tossing the necklace and sort of hooking it. He throws the book into the fire as his legs are being dug into. That's the other thing, is like the extent of his damage, we're not sure, because looks like his legs, his calves are shredded up, and people are biting him and ripping at him, or beating on him with a hot poker too. Like,
yeah.
So anytime you beat on it, like, because it's one thing if who is it who does that? Linda, Cheryl, who is that's doing that?
I think that's
Shelley.
No,
Shelley?
it's I think that's Cheryl that's beating
okay.
him up. Yeah.
Because that's
Shelley's already dismembered.
Okay, and
Linda's
point,
headless, so it's Cheryl. Yeah.
So it's one thing, she doesn't go up and stab him with the poker.
No,
she beats on him, and that's sillier. It's like
and Scotty starts biting him in the leg. At the same time. Yeah.
But once the book gets burned up, then it's almost like giant monster hands rip through their bodies, and like I guess larger demons or their bosses in hell kind of call them back, and like the way to do that.
And Ash just keeps getting blood splattered in his face. Like it happens from one of the hands ripping through, one of the bodies hitting the ground. It's just every time a cascade of blood is going to shoot into Bruce Campbell's face. I wonder how much fake blood that man has ingested.
Well, they say we eat in our lifetime like a dozen spiders, but he ingests probably several gallons of fake glop and goo of all colors.
And also you have to say, obviously, while in no way does the stop motion used for their disintegrations look realistic, it's really fun. Like it looks really fun, and like them like falling apart. And there's one part where you can see they do like a cheap optical effect, because Scotty's face is a practical effect of oozing, but then they've added stop motion of his like head crumbling around it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all just so creative. Like, again, knowing that they made this for so little money, this is cool stuff to see.
And again, presumably this is where most of the money went, is the stuff.
Yes, yeah. Because it is the
fluids budget, and
the fluids budget and the stop motion, which would have been the main
salad
thing.
budget. That was a big salad.
Yes. The stop motion would obviously be the main post-production effect in a time where they didn't have there was no CGI, and they didn't have George Lucas money for big special effects after the fact. And we should mention that after there's so many phases of them dying, because it's like he burns the book, but then the giant hands burst out and they keep oozing, but then they disintegrate. There's the cream corn coming out of Scotty's sleeve, and then there's like Connell Cochran bugs. It's like they got silver shamrock masks.
Oh, good.
And there's like those bugs that crawl out of them at the very end.
Well, this would have influenced Connell Cochran, right?
That's right.
That's a couple years later.
Yeah.
So Ash, against all odds, survives the night. Daybreak is here. He's about to leave the cabin, but then Eric, he gets got. As a fun end to a movie in an era when people seem to need that Friday the 13th had already happened, Carrie had already happened, but you need that
Yes.
that thing at the end that jolts people one final time before the credits roll, and that was this. And we assume he gets destroyed, but you never know. He's a survivor. It leaves it up to
if
us.
there had never been another movie, it would have been like, oh, they got him. They got him. And then the closing credits have a credit that will be, I certainly know in other, I don't know if they're in every Raimi movie. Actually, I'm curious if the Spider-Man movies have this, but certainly other Evil Dead movies and other Raimi movies, which is the fake Shemps credit, which is what he does, a credit he uses for like doubles, stunt doubles, body doubles, because it's him and his friends when they'd watch Three Stooges saying, oh, that's a fake Shemp, because sometimes they'd have like swapping, someone else for an actor. So that's where I noticed Ted and Ivan Raimi, who will go on to obviously work with him a lot.
So that was the thing, is that in Quick and the Dead, when you and I looked at the credits, we saw Bruce Campbell there.
Yeah,
and it said Shemp. I don't know if it said fake Shemp, but it definitely said Shemp of some sort.
Yeah,
we were like, oh shit, who was he in that movie? Was he just an extra? And then you eventually heard the story about what that was,
the Pat Hingle
where Sam Raimi concocted an entire scene for Pat Hingle, who was unsatisfied with his character and wanted some sort of redemption, so brought Bruce Campbell in to film one scene with him and then didn't put it in the movie.
Where he'd
I don't even know if he filmed it technically.
Right? And just told Pat Hingle to beat the shit out of this guy. One day Sam Raimi will pay for his crimes against Bruce Campbell.
I mean, again, like, who's the real monster? Pizza Papa, or the guy who made him punch himself in the face for a week because he didn't want people stealing his food?
Like, I know. And then near the end of the credits, you see I enjoyed seeing The Evil Dead, the ultimate experience in grueling horror, was filmed in Morristown, Tennessee, and in Detroit, USA. This movie was marketed as the ultimate experience in grueling horror, which is great. Like you were saying, like having, like, hiring the ambulances out front, I'm sure they knew this movie was not going to be like we're post Exorcist here, post Jaws. It's like, are you really going to be like match like actual like uncomfortableness? They know they did that, and that wasn't even what they were trying to do, although they wanted to gross people out for sure. It was all like having like William Castle old school fun with the promotion for this movie, and it became a success. And look at it. Look at them now.
Look at it now. It's got a whole movie coming out.
You could buy not just a shitload of Ash figures. I know there was a Scotty figure. I think there was like a set at one point with Scotty and.
Did it come with a little cup of water that dribbled down his face?
Yeah, maybe. And even just the fact, like, because there's been so many, like, obviously there's multiple movies. There's been a TV show. There's been a shitload of video games. There's a shitload of comic books. And it's funny because they've done so many crossovers, and like there's an Army of Darkness versus Marvel Zombies comic book. An official Ash, crosses over with Marvel characters, albeit they're zombie versions.
And back when we did our full Friday the 13th movie recaps, we talked about like the Ash versus Freddy versus Jason movie that never was, that wasn't able to get going, but it did wind to make its way to a comic book form. So it made it as a comic book, and then they did a sequel comic book to that. So yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things where we just talked about this with Rocky and all. It's like these movies that are these small little movies. People were just trying to like make this one movie as like a calling card movie, a passion project, and not only is it a success, not only does it work as a calling card movie and makes their career, but this specific it will become a franchise. I say this franchise, no one knew it would be a franchise. The fact that this year are new movies in the Rocky and Evil Dead franchises, which are now both, over 40 years old. Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. But only one of them has had a TV series so far. Rocky, I know, is working on it.
Well, yeah, he's trying. He's trying.
All right. Until next time, everybody. When we do Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, one of the silliest, most satisfying movies of all time.
Yes.
Everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shockma.
Shockma!
Where the vilest reptiles you could find residing. Watch your step, never can tell who's hiding. An attractive destination for the non-law abiding. Disguised in styles quite surprising. Weapons supplying, we're known for enterprising. What can I say? It's a wild environment where unwelcome guests speed dial retirement. But if you're the type who likes strife and laser firing, consider applying. We're hiring. Are you good at conniving? What about lying? Death defying? Do you enjoy exercising? We trust you'll find divine guidance once you try on this fine mind appliance.